While she was speaking at the crowd, I saw the crowd not really looking at her, a lot of them looking at their phones glued into the TVs that were on the national coverage, refreshing their feed, trying to get whatever latest updates they can get about the state of national politics. I talked to businesses who say they're not really surprised. They've dealt with a lot of things in this neighborhood. I mean, we're literally a couple of blocks away from Camp Hope. Right now, I can count one car stalled over there, one car stalled in that ditch right behind me, another set of cars being pushed up the hill over there. 2013, 2015, and 2017, the House voted to pass 3 different versions of the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. From what I can see, and another one about to come in right behind it, it's dumping that water right now, as you can see, on that area of the fire. The thing that stood out to him was Houston's enforcement of anti-camping policies, with Mayor Parker saying the sidewalks are for everyone, not just the homeless. John, let's start with the good news. Outside of a little section of the right-hand turn lane right before the crash, everything is clear. Now cars are going fully through on 3rd. Free potatoes for all. Free russet potatoes, free Yukon potatoes, free potatoes. Judge John Judge was certainly visibly upset. He said he was aware these Facebook groups existed, he doesn't know what's in them, and that he doesn't want to promote these things on the live stream.
Blood coming from his neck, rolling onto his stomach.
David Williams told me he's used to seeing some horrific things, but seeing his next door neighbor lying on the staircase lifeless kept him awake Tuesday night.
It just shaken me to the point I just didn't know what. I kind of feared for my life because I didn't know what the heck was going on.
While the location doesn't have the friendliest reputation,
nothing surprises me anymore.
An alleged son-on-father murder, eye-opening.
Makes me nervous that that'd be my parents here.
The nerves particularly high overnight when the primary suspect, now identified as 38-year-old Damian Eifert, was still on the loose.
His son come running out of the building and went into his car and took off.
Until Spokane police say he was found stalled out on I-90 westbound near Cheney. They say Washington State Patrol found the car disabled, running the plates and identifying the car as stolen. We're told the driver refused to get out, stating he had a gun and was making comments about cops dying. After a standoff with several local law enforcement agencies helping, the driver ran away from the car, but police say he didn't get very far before getting caught.
Something escalated it to the point where the son stabbed his father in the neck, and it just wasn't called for. And if things get that bad, sometimes it's best just to walk away and come back later.
Eifert is currently being charged with second-degree murder, sitting in the Spokane County Jail waiting for his first appearance in front of a judge. In Spokane tonight, Adam Schwager, Nonstop Local. Now, it's important to remember the Spokane Core program is only a week old, and according to an email we received from the city of Spokane last week, the police department isn't going to start taking a serious look at the data until a week from today. And while the Spokane Police Department wasn't able to be reached in order for today's story, on Monday morning, they did release their first downtown precinct data with the Core program in effect. Over a very small sample size of a week, the downtown area saw a rise of reported crimes, from 38 the week of October 6th to 58 the week of October 13th. But as you can see here, those reports are just bouncing back from a trend the city has seen since midsummer, according to weekly Spokane police reports. We also don't know if the increase in reports is tied to the Core program, something we plan to ask the police department once they're available. Today I went and talked to a ton of local businesses, and I chose specifically this Sprague and Washington corridor because there's a lot of long-standing businesses right here, but it's only a half a mile away from that 2nd and Division corridor, which even Chief Hall admitted was a problem early into his tenure. And while none of those business owners wanted to talk with me on camera, off camera, I heard a lot of interesting perspectives. I first talked to employees at Chicken and Mo who said they've heard of the program but haven't seen any new officers, saying somehow the problem has gotten worse. They said they have fears as simple as taking out the trash, and said this last week felt like public drug users were starting summer vacation with how prevalent they've been. Then I talked to the owner of PM Jacoy's, a business you may remember from earlier this year when the owner's son was briefly detained by Spokane police for shooting at someone inside the store, later telling us he was defending his father. Today, the father told me he moved to Spokane a year and a half ago to take over the store from his cousin and regrets it, saying he has no idea what he was getting himself into. He says he's always on edge and working behind the counter makes him go crazy, but says if he's not vigilant, bad things will happen. As for the core program, his main gripe was an accusation of police taking an hour and 40 minutes to respond to something at his store last night. Then I went a little up the road to Satellite Diner, where their owner provided me a fresh perspective on things. He says he has been seeing increased downtown patrols, noting it's only been a week and it takes some time. While saying the open drug use and vandalism are absolutely problems that need to be addressed, he said the real killer of downtown businesses has been the dramatic work from home shift, taking people out of nearby massive bank buildings, people who used to eat, drink, and play in downtown after their shifts. He says without employees' foot traffic downtown, of course the homeless are going to be more visible since they're a larger proportion of those on the streets. Morgan, if you're like me, a law-abiding U.S. citizen who's lived in Washington for at least 30 days and is over the age of 18, you're eligible to vote in tomorrow's election, even if you're also like me and put off registration to the last minute. On Monday, with a swell of pride to take part in my civic duty, I went to the Spokane County Elections Office to see how fast I could go from being unregistered to casting my ballot. The start was simple. Fill out a registration form which voters in Washington can do in person until the polls close at 8 p.m. on election night. I then submitted my filled and signed form to the clerk, who promptly matched my information up on a database to make sure I'm eligible to vote.
If you've provided us with a Washington State driver's license, we immediately ping up against that database. If you don't have a Washington State driver's license, you can still register to vote. We're going to use the last 4 digits of your Social Security number, and we do check against the Social Security database.
After waiting about 10 minutes for my Social Security number to be verified, I was handed my ballot, 2 envelopes, and allowed into the voting room. After consulting the Spokane County Voters Pamphlet, I made my decisions. Hey, little privacy. Sealed my choices, and signed my envelope. All in all, the process went by incredibly quickly, although the elections office expects it to be a bit busier on election day.
Keep in mind that just the process of registration is going to take between 15 and 20 minutes, and then it's going to take you however long you need to be able to cast your ballot, which could take anywhere from 10 minutes to half an hour. On
the way out, my journey ended where it started, submitting my ballot to the drop box on the outside of the elections office, joining over 46,000 other Spokanites who've already cast their ballot for the 2023 election. The elections office usually closes at 4, but tomorrow on election day, they'll be open starting at 7 a.m. and closing when the polls do at 8 p.m. And if you're even more last minute than me, as long as you're inside the building by 8 p.m., you will be allowed to register and vote. In Spokane tonight, Adam Schwager, Nonstop Local.